Hey everyone, my name is Wedge. I can barely contain my excitement right now. Today I'm going to attack one of my favorite recent commander decks, Etrata. We're going to throw hit counters all over the place. We're going to kill people in an instant. It's going to be glorious. You will love this deck, I guarantee it. I'll show you all the prices for all the cards in the deck as we talk about them. And if you want to see the list in full or purchase any of the cards for it, you can click the first link in the description. It's actually pretty cheap. I do hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, remember hit the like button. It helps out a lot. Etrata the Silencer is 2 of anything, 1 blue and 1 black for a 3/5 legendary creature vampire assassin that can't be blocked. Whenever she deals combat damage to a player, exile target creature that player controls and put a hit counter on that card. That player loses the game if they own 3 or more exiled cards with hit counters on them. Etrata's owner shuffles her into their library. This commander is incredibly straightforward. You are assassinating your opponent's creatures, eventually killing them. The trigger is powerful as a strong removal spell, even if you can't kill your opponent right away, but there are some hurdles to jump over here. 1 trigger at a time is a bit rough. Having to shuffle her into the library or putting her in the command zone with each hit is also really taxing. Good thing we have solutions for all of these problems. Hold on to your butts. Strionic Resonator is one of the funniest cards in all of Magic, mainly because of interactions like this. With the Resonator, each of our Etrata hits becomes 2 Etrata hits, letting you exile 2 creatures and putting 2 hit counters on our opponents, essentially saving you an entire recast of Etrata. 2 hit counters at once, it's not bad at all, but I think we can do better. We're also running Helm of the Host. This absurd equipment was basically made for this deck. Helm of the Host copies Etrata, you attack someone with Etrata and the copy, they both trigger, then you copy one with the Resonator. Boom, instant death, delicious. It's so delicious. Now, you may be asking yourself, this is an awesome combo, but how am I going to bring it all together in a 99 card deck? Well, I have some help for that. We're running Shred Memory, Muddle the Mixture, and Dimir Infiltrator specifically to search for Strionic Resonator off of the transmutability. Then we're running Dimir Houseguard and Clutch the Undercity to help search for the Helm. And these are only the transmute cards. The deck includes Dark Petition, Fabricate, Limdul's Vault, which is a broken tutor, then Dig Through Time, Treasure Cruise, and brainstorm for more card draw looking for our Etrata pieces. Looking at all these cards together, in addition to the pieces themselves, we're talking about 11 cards that actively help us get our broken Etrata nonsense going. That's not a bad start. Helm of the Host can't be the only way to make copies that get around the legend rule. Sakashima the Imposter is the most expensive card in this deck, but well worth it. This thing is bonkers crazy. It enters the battlefield and becomes a copy of Etrata, but it doesn't break the legend rule, because it's still Sakashima the Imposter. Nice way to double up on Etrata that isn't a Helm of the Host trigger. Of course, with that on the battlefield with Sakashima and Etrata, that's another instant kill. The deck includes Flesh Writher as a tutor for Sakashima when you're ready to drop it. Important to have tutors for the important cards. Now, we're trying really hard to circumvent the legend rule, but why? Let's just not do that. Mirror Gallery is hilarious and the only other expensive card in this deck. 5 mana, no legend rule, that is so fun. With the gallery on the battlefield, we don't have to worry about any number of Etrata copies. It's like Christmas up in here. Thank goodness we have Fabricate, Brain Spoil, Dark Petition, and more to help us grab the gallery from the deck. Now, you may be asking, what are we going to do with Mirror Gallery since our clone spells get around the legend rule already? Well, we're gonna play more clones. Clones galore. Clever Impersonator, Clone, Stunt Double, and Mirage Mirror. Copying Etrata with the Mirror Gallery out is going to let us win the game so much faster. We can eliminate players like clockwork. 2 copies of the Etrata and the Resonator, 2 copies and Helm of the Host, or 3 copies and instant kill. It's so easy. And these are just the normal clones. We have a lot more spice coming up. Say hello to Blade of Selves. If you want to talk about broken, Blade of Selves is broken with Etrata. With the Gallery out, the Blade can eliminate multiple players in a turn, and it's a triggered ability. Hello, Resonator. Blade of Selves with the Resonator, Helm of the Host. This could kill multiple players in a single turn. You cannot tell me that isn't hilarious by now, right? I love this deck so much. It can just win out of nowhere. It's genius. For more copy nonsense, we're running Rite of Replication with Mirror Gallery, and this kicked, you're going to eliminate players real fast. They won't even see it coming, except for the time that they see the Etrata tokens on the battlefield. But other than that, totally won't see it coming. Also, Mimic Vat. This is one of my favorite cards ever. You can let the Vat exile Etrata when she's destroyed. Create a token at the end of an opponent's end step. You get to keep that token until the following end step. You untap, create another token. That's 2 Etrata triggers right there. Now, Mimic Vat is scary because you have to exile Etrata under the Vat. If the Vat is destroyed, she just stays in exile, not in the command zone. It's scary stuff. This is an oh crap button. You can use this on Etrata when you see a path to victory. It has other uses we'll talk about in a second, but with Etrata, just be careful. Something we haven't dealt with yet, Etrata's Shuffle trigger. That's one of the more bothersome issues we have to deal with. Every time that trigger goes off, she shuffles away, or alternatively is put back into the command zone, adding more commander tax each time. This deck is not designed to deal with that increased cost. Instead, we're gonna flicker her. She deals combat damage, the trigger goes off, then you flicker her in response to the trigger. She'll leave the battlefield, the trigger will have nothing to shuffle, but the hit counter resolution still happens. It's a win-win for you. Displace, Essence Flux, Ghostly Flicker, and Illusionist Stratagem are awesome instant speed flicker spells. The Stratagem even lets us draw a card. When you use any of these on Etrata after the trigger's on the stack, she'll come back ready to party and you'll get your hit counters. You gotta love flickering. We actually love flickering so much that Deadeye Navigator makes an appearance here to soul bond with Etrata, giving her flicker all the time forever. And not only that, but we're also running Identity Thief. Now what's cool about this card is that you don't wait for the trigger. You exile Etrata to safety, the Thief becomes Etrata, gets your hit counter trigger through, then shuffles itself away, bringing your real Etrata back at the beginning of the end step, ready to attack again next turn. That's a lot of flicker, right? Yeah. We're also running a small package of unsummon effects to bring her back to the hand after her trigger goes off to again prevent commander tax nonsense. Supplant Form is spicy, returning Etrata to our hand and replacing it with a token copy. That's nice. Crystal Shard is a ridiculously cheap unsummon effect we can use over and over again. No tax for us ever. And Venser, Shaper Savant, can return Etrata to our hand, but it also performs very well as a disruption spell or tempo ruiner for the opponent. A lot of value all around in these cards. Just when you think we're done, we never are. Ninjutsu is a powerful ability that also returns Etrata to our hand. What a combo. Etrata can never be blocked, which means Ninjutsu will always be live, but here's the best part. You can activate Ninjutsu at any phase of the combat step. There is a combat phase after damage is dealt. It's the post-damage combat phase. When Etrata's trigger goes off, you can still Ninjutsu her out. Now, the ninja you bring in won't get any combat damage triggers because the damage has already been dealt, but it's another way to avoid commander tax. Mistblade Shinobi returns for 1, Ninja of the Deep Hours returns for 2, Skull Snatcher returns for 1, and Walker of Secret Ways, in addition to returning for 2, also comes with an ability to send your ninjas back to your hand for more guaranteed unsummons. This deck is seriously the model of consistency. There's always going to be a way to deal with Etrata's trigger, always. I love it. Speaking of that, the last piece of dirty tech we're running to help Etrata out is phasing. Oh yeah, we're going super deep. Voldalian Illusionist and Vanishing both phase a creature out at instant speed, so phasing is weird. But basically at the beginning of each upkeep, if a permanent was phased out, it phases in, and if a permanent with phasing is phased in, it phases out. Phasing is like exile, but not. The card basically doesn't exist while it's phased, so forcing Etrata to phase out at instant speed essentially removes her from all existence, even the exile zone. Then at the beginning of the next turn, she comes back. It never leaves or enters the battlefield, just phases in like a ghost. It's an annoying mechanic, but useful for what we're trying to do here. The entire deck can't just be trying to break Etrata. I mean, don't get me wrong, most of the deck is trying to break Etrata, but we have so much flicker, it would be a shame not to fully utilize it. We're running Runescar Demon for tutor nonsense, Sphinx Summoner for artifact tutor nonsense, and Solemn Simulacrum because lands are great. Each of these creatures can be flickered to high heaven and get us everything we need. Of course, they are the least aggressive of our flicker bodies. Say hello to the removal suite from the underworld. Duplicate repeatedly exiles creatures, Hostage Taker repeatedly automatically exiles creatures as long as you can cast them before the taker leaves the battlefield again. Meteor Golem drops a meteor on most anything. Knight Incarnate -3/-3's the board, wrecking most everything. Notchik's Gearhulk hits a creature and gains life. Ravenous Chupacabra gnaws opponents to the bone. And Shriekmaw gets reallowed over and over again. This is a package I'd be afraid of. Then we have card advantage engines in Baleful Strix, Gonti, Lord of Luxury, and Maul Drifter. With all of the flicker we have in this deck, abusing some of these won't be that difficult. Plus, Mimic Vat. So yeah, let that sink in for a second. In case we don't have enough flicker for some reason, I don't know how, but in case we don't, Conjurer's Closet and Panharmonicon come to the rescue. The Closet gives you a flicker at the beginning of your end step, and Panharmonicon doubles up all enter the battlefield triggers. That's pretty insane. This card is nuts. And it can be tutored for pretty easily considering all the tutors we have in the deck for Helm of the Host. Nice synergy there. The deck includes Decree of Pain because the only thing I like more than wiping out all creatures is drawing cards, Animate Dead to bring back anything that does die that you might end up wanting, both Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots, because protecting Etrata is the most important thing on the planet ever in the world ever, also Haste, and a fine amount of ramp and fixing for a blue-black deck, looking at Sol Rang, Hedron Archive for some late game card draw, Dimir Signet and Commander Sphere, both for great fixin'. We're running 37 lands with a host of non-basics. Bojuka Bog for graveyard nonsense we don't want to deal with, Halimar Depths to dig a little in our deck, and Reliquary Tower because thanks to all of our flicker and card draw, getting over 7 cards in the hand is actually not that hard. And in this deck, you want all the cards all the time. There's almost never a situation where you don't want to see everything you can. Command Tower, Dimir Aqueduct, and Dismal Backwater are here to fix like mad. Temple of the False God is essentially a ramp spell. Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse exist to fetch for our 15 islands and 13 swamps. Relatively humble mana base, but it helps keep the cost of the deck down. If you want to upgrade it, by all means include higher priority lands like Fetches, a Shockland, Filterland, you get where I'm coming from. Etrata the Silencer makes for one of the most hilarious and fun to play commanders in recent memory. By building the deck like this, you get to do what most Magic players never get the chance to. You get to instant kill people constantly, destroy creatures left and right, bring them back for your own purposes, play a ton of value creatures that come with great triggers, then abuse those triggers, and then draw a bunch of cards. This is everything Dimir wants to do that isn't mill. The direction we took with this deck is the most fun direction for it, I guarantee you that. So if this is something that you might be interested in, if you're looking for something new on the commander front, something unique, this Assassin Flicker insta-kill deck might just be up your alley. It's actually pretty affordable. Click the first link in the description to see the deck list and purchase any of the cards for it. It's around $150 total, so it's really not bad. Also, I do hope you like the deck, and as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. When Etrata's trigger goes off, you can still use ninjutsu. When Etrata's trigger goes off, you can still ninjutsu her out. Now the ninja you bring in also comes with an ability to send your ninjas back to your hand for more guaranteed unsummons. This is seriously oh god. Ninja of the Deep Hours returns for 2, Skull Snatcher. Why? Why can't I get through this one paragraph?